Hello everyone. This presentation we will talk about call by value and call by reference. That is different type of parameter passing technique. There are two different type of parameter passing technique. One is the call by value and the call by reference. And also we are going to discuss difference between the call by value and the call by reference. So what is meant by parameters? Input given by the user to the particular function. So with the help of the actual argument, we are passing the value from the actual argument to the formal argument. That is, we are giving the input to the particular function from the calling function to called function. So first we will discuss call by value. By default, C uses the call by value to pass the argument from the calling function to the called function. So this method, first it made a copy. A copied value it passed from the actual argument to formal argument, or that is a formal parameter. If there is any changes made in the uh, called function, so it will not get reflected to the calling function. That is, if there is any changes made in the formal parameter, it won't get reflected to the actual parameter. Here, separate memory location is allocated for actual and formal parameters. So this is a simple example to illustrate that it's call by value. Integer a equal to 50, b equal to 100. So there is a function fun x comma y. X comma y is the formal, actual parameter. So that is a int x and int y. It is a formal parameter. So this is the called function. So what is the return type? That is a int. So x equal to 40 and y equal to 200. Return y. So that is a equal to 50 and b equal to 50. But first it made a copy. This copied value it is going to assign to the variable x and y respectively. So in 1000, 1000, 2000 for it is a memory location. Here that is x and there are two different formal argument. One is the x and the another one is the y. So what is the memory location? Because that separate memory location is assigned for actual as well as the formal argument. So here 1006, 1008, 1010. Now a value is assigned to the variable x, so that is a 50, and b value is assigned to the variable y, that is a 100. So that is actual parameter value is copied to the formal parameters. So what is the called function? Uh, so we are going to change the value x equal to 40. X is nothing but the a value. What is the previous a value? That is a 50. Now we are going to change the value that is in the formal parameter, that is a called function. Now x equal to 40. Similarly, that is a y equal to 200. So that is a actual value is passed from the actual parameter to the formal parameter. So 50 and 100 previously, but there is changes in the formal parameter, that is a 40 and 200 variable x and y respectively. But it will not get reflected to the actual parameters. So this is the simple program to illustrate the exchange of exchanging the values of two variables using the call by value. So here that is the swapping the number m1 comma m2. So here this is the actual argument or parameter. What is the value for m1? That is 100. What is the value for m2? That is 200. So before swapping, m1 value is 100 and m2 value is 200. So during the execution time, the control it reaches after executing this statement, the control is passed to the called function. What is the name of the called function? That is a swap number, integer x1 and int x1 and int x2. And also we have declared the one temporary variable, that is a local variable temp var. With the help of the temporary variable, the value x1 value is assigned to the variable x2 and x2 value is assigned to x1. So temp var equal to x1 and x1 equal to x2 and assigned value x1 value is assigned to temporary variable. This value is assigned to the variable x2. So that is after swapping m1 value is 200, m2 value is 100. So next one called by reference. Instead of passing the value from the actual calling function to called function, here we are passing the addresses of the actual parameters. So that is a call by reference. Here instead of passing values, we pass the addresses. If there is any changes in the called function, that is a formal parameter, it will get reflected to the actual parameter, that is a calling function. Both here both actual and formal parameter refer to the same memory location, but in the case of call by value, actual parameter and formal parameter, it allocate the separate memory location. So declare the formal argument of the function as the pointer variable of an appropriate type. Because all the operation performed on the value stored in the addresses of the actual parameters. So this is a simple example to illustrate the call by reference. Here that is a int a equal to 50, b equal to 100. Here instead of passing the value, we can pass the addresses of the variable a and b. So these addresses is going to occupy, that is a pointer variable only to hold the addresses of the variable. Okay, so this the star indicate that is the pointer variable here ptr1 and ptr2. So 40 it's going to assign to the variable pointer variable, that is a ptr1, and 200 to pointer variable ptr2. So what is the initially what is the value for a and b, that is a 50 and 100. So what is the addresses of a and b, that is a 1000 and 1002. This addresses only it passed to the from the actual parameter to the formal parameter. So actual address of a is 1000. Now ptr1 it hold, that is a 1000. Similarly, that is addresses of b 1002. ptr2 it hold the addresses of a, that is 1002. So we are going to change the ptr1 value and ptr2 value. So the star indicate that is the addresses of the particular variable. Here what is the addresses, that is a 1000. So star indicate that is the this 1000, it point to the variable a. Okay, so this 40 it is going to assign to the variable a, that is a pointer variable. Similarly, that is a 1002, it point to the variable b. So now b it hold the it going to assign the variable value, that is a 200. Pass the addresses. This is any changes made in the 40, 200. Any changes made in the references, that is a 1000 and 1002, it will get reflected to the actual argument. That is a called calling function. This is the same program to exchange the value of two variables using the call by reference. Here that is a two variable. Yeah, integer m1 equal to 100, m2 is equal to 200. Ampersand symbol indicate to get the addresses, star indicate to get the values. So what is the value for m1, that is 100, m2 value is 200. So what is the addresses, 1000 and 1002. So control, when you control it reaches are executing this statement, control to be passed to the called function. So here there is a two pointer variable x1 and x2. So we have declared that is one local variable temp var. So x1, what is the value for x1? So it is nothing but a m1. What is the value for addresses of m1? That is 1000. This 1000 it contain the what is the value, that is 100. So that is 100 to assign 100. So now x1 equal to 100. So 100 to assign to the variable temp1. Now x2, what is the value for x2? That is nothing but it's addresses of m2. What is the addresses of m2? 1002. 1002 to hold the value 200. 200, and now x2 value is 200. X1 equal to x2. 200 it is going to assign to the pointer variable x1. That is an m1. Then what is the value for temporary variable? This location it is 100. This value is assigned to the variable m2, that is the x2. That is the last statement. So this is the original value is nothing but that is the actual parameter. So in the call by reference, if there is any changes made in the formal parameter, it won't reflect to the original value, that is actual parameter. If there is any changes made in the call by reference, so it will get reflected to the original value, that is actual parameter. So this program illustrates to return the square and the cube of number using call by reference and call by reference and call by value. So here that is the name of the function. So here that is a, it is a ordinary variable. We can pass the only the value to the calling function to called function. Here we are passing the addresses. Ampersand yes, ampersand C. So here we are passing the addresses to the pointer variable square and the cube. So after executing this program, so we'll get the result. That is a square of 5 is 25 and cube is 125. Here how many values it is get reflected to the called function to the calling function? There are two different values. Here the square value is that is the it going to reflect it to it going to assign to the yes, and that is a cube value is assigned to the variable C. So next one, difference between call by value and call by reference. The call by value, that is a copy of actual parameter, is passed into the formal parameter. So the actual parameter value is copied, first made a copy. Copied value only to pass to the formal parameter. But in the case of call by reference, the addresses of the actual parameter is passed to the formal parameter. So next one, if there is any changes made in the formal parameter, it will not reflected to the, it will not get reflected to the or change, will not changes to the formal parameter. So here in the call by reference, any changes made in the actual parameter, it will get reflected to the formal. If there is any changes in the formal parameter, it will get reflected to the actual parameter. Here separate memory location is allocated for the actual and the formal parameters, but here same memory location is allocated for actual and the formal parameter in called by reference technique. Any formal parameter are ordinary variable, but here in the call by reference, actual parameter are the pointer variable. So in the call by value, only at most only one value is returned from the calling function to called function. Here several results can be sent back to the calling function. So because here we are going to change the modify the addresses of the actual parameters. Thank you.